Hello and welcome to today's video. A few weeks ago, I kicked off this series of videos by explaining that we were going to deliver a free course in effective financial literacy in the weeks and months ahead. Key to that are 4 crucial ideas you need to understand in order to maximize the chances that you get a great result, minimize the risk that you lose money, and hopefully, and perhaps most importantly, give you real peace of mind along the way as well. And as a reminder, those 4 key ideas were: first, investing for the long run, and ideally the very long run. Secondly, investing regularly each month and automating your investments. Thirdly, ignoring the news and sticking to your guns. And fourthly, using an elegant approach to investment called 100 minus your age. In our last video, we covered the first of these ideas, the importance of investing for the long run, and in fact, the very long run for the whole of your adult life, basically. To maximize the chance that investment really delivers all it can for you, you want to make this a life habit that you do every month for many years without fail, just like eating well and exercising. This is not something you do for a few weeks or months and then stop. So in the last video, we looked at why this approach is so important and at why it works. Today, we move on to the next of these 4 key topics and look at the idea of investing regularly each month and at automating your investments. When you approach investing, ideally, you will want to use the right mix of your pension and ISA accounts to build wealth over many years. And by the way, just a reminder that we covered how to think about pensions and ISAs in our video back in May that was called The Highest Probability Way to Become a Millionaire. Please do check that video out if you want a reminder of this very important topic. So as you use your pension and ISA accounts over many years to maximize the chance that you can build significant wealth, you'll want to do your best to invest regularly every single month. And you'll also want to automate your investments if at all possible, ideally by direct debit, for example. This has a number of key benefits, which we're going to look at in today's video. First, it defeats the natural inertia that we all have about doing admin. Getting a direct debit set up once is relatively easy and then requires a minimum of effort going forwards. Once you've done it, you'll not have to make complex decisions about when to put your money to work either. And this will maximize your chances of actually doing something with your finances sooner rather than later. As with so many things in life, you have to be in it to win it. Many millions of people get no result at all for their finances, quite simply because they never get around to doing the admin and to sorting them out. If you set something sensible up once and automate the process, this is a huge amount of the battle won, if only because you've actually finally done something. Secondly, investing regularly each month achieves something variously known as smoothing, averaging in, or pound cost averaging. And to explain, obviously the price of any financial asset or market goes up and down over time. By investing each month, you improve your chances of buying in at a good average price over long periods of time. And you ensure that you do not put a large amount of money into something just ahead of a crash. This is all part of learning how to invest so that crashes don't matter. If anything you own does crash, by averaging in each month, you will then be automatically investing in that thing when it is cheap or cheaper in the months that follow that crash. And over time, this will increase your chance of achieving market returns, or at least close to market returns, rather than the much lower than market returns that most investors make as a statement of fact. And long-run market returns are enough to make a massive difference to your life and to your ability to become wealthy. A point made again and again by leading lights of the investment industry, such as Warren Buffett, for example. Thirdly, investing automatically removes you from the equation. And this is likely to be a very good idea, as it minimizes the chance that you will buy high and sell low as a function of the powerful inbuilt psychological biases we've looked at in previous videos. Remember, we are built to be bad investors psychologically because of the way our brains work at a fundamental level. You really do want to take steps to deal with this reality. So let's look at this very important idea in a bit more detail. In many of our previous videos, we've looked at the idea that you can invest in a big stock market index to have financial exposure to human progress, and at why this might be a good idea, because human progress is the most important investment theme of them all. And as a reminder, something we looked at in a previous video, the world economy as a whole has grown more than 670% since 1985, for example. Anyone invested in that fact would have done far better than someone who hasn't. That said, I've also made the point plenty of times that stock markets can and do crash. Every few years, they can fall by as much as half, or even more than that in some cases. And this is precisely why it is so important to understand and make use of these 4 broad approaches to investment that we're covering in these videos. One of the main stock market indices that lots of investors use to look to grow their wealth is the S&P 500 of American shares, again, as we've seen in a previous video. So let's look at the S&P 500 for a bit to show just how important investing every month automatically is. In the global financial crisis of 2007 to 2009, the S&P 500 index in the US fell from about 1,500 in October 2007 down to the rather spooky and biblical level of 666 in March 2009. So that was a 56% collapse, more than half, and definitely not great. Importantly, however, it has since come back from that 666 bottom to around 5,500 as I'm making this video this week. That's a 725% recovery since 2009, an amazing result all round. The problem is, and the focus of this video, is that human nature is such that had you tried to time your investments to take advantage of those moves, you would almost certainly have got it wrong. And in fact, the situation is actually worse than that because there's a high probability you would have sold low and bought high and actually timed your investments about as badly as possible. And this is the psychology point because we are hardwired psychologically to get this wrong. We humans are essentially herd animals. We pay a disproportionate amount of attention to what everyone else around us is doing. Much as we fight it, very few of us have the knowledge or self-confidence to be truly contrarian. When the market bottomed at 666 in March 2009, nearly everything you would have read or seen in the mainstream press would have gone on about how risky stock market investment is and how much money everyone had just lost. Stock market crash would have been plastered across every newspaper and one of the lead stories on every television news bulletin. And as a result, you would have been highly unlikely to have considered putting your hard-earned savings into the stock market. Even more insidious, however, as the market recovered from the bottom, so 10% up, then 20%, 30%, 40%, and all the way up to more than 700% today, it would have been perfectly natural for you to say to yourself pretty much every few months, oh well, I've probably missed out now, the market's at an all-time high, I'm too late, and you will then not have invested. And remember, the market has been at an all-time high for an awful lot of the last few years. It gets even worse though, because after a few years of this, the next thought you might have will probably be something like, right, I really must sort this investment thing out. Look, the market's up more than 700%. It just keeps going up. Some of my friends have made a fortune. I've been avoiding it the whole time and missing out. Right, that's it. I'm in. And you know the rest. Just as you decide it's time to put your money in the stock market, along comes the next massive crash. You get absolutely flattened and then spend the next decade licking your wounds. This cycle repeats and happens to far too many investors time and time again because it is human nature and the way our brains work. And the other tragedy, perhaps even worse, is that often when this happens, people give up on stock market investment altogether, preferring to stick to cash and property perhaps for the rest of their lives. This is a decision that is highly likely to have a negative impact on your chances of optimizing your financial progress over a lifetime. As we've seen in several other of our previous videos, the US stock market has returned an average of more than 10% a year for more than a century, from 1923 until today. Most investors achieve several percentage points lower than this for all of the reasons we're looking at in this video today. And given the power of compounding at higher rates of return, this has a huge negative impact on people's ability to become wealthy, especially over many years. If you time markets and react with fear or greed to market crashes and/or to periods of stock market euphoria, you will very likely reduce your long-run returns by several percentage points. And in fact, there is a reasonable chance you might even lose money. If you invest for a short period of time and then panic, give up, and sell at a loss when there is a stock market crash, for example, this happens to far too many people. And the antidote to all of this is to take yourself out of the equation by investing automatically each month and doing this for the very long run, for years and years. Don't try to second guess what is going to happen. Don't try to time the market and start thinking I should buy this now or sell that now. And don't ask supposed experts what they think the market is going to do this week, this month, or even this year. Just invest what you can afford every month without fail into something sensible until such time as you want to live on the proceeds of having done that, something you will hopefully be able to achieve if you do this for most of your adult life. Using our example of the S&P over the last 15 years or so, if you had been automating your payments monthly, you would have bought in at around $1,500 just before the crash, for example, and you would have seen the value of your investment account fall a long way in that crash. But then, if you had continued to buy without fail regularly every month after the crash as a consistent life habit, you have been getting in each month at levels between 666 and all the way up to 5,500 today. Clearly an amazing result. And the net result of this approach is that you can grind out consistent and meaningful returns, which are also likely to be far higher than interest rates, by the way, through the economic cycle, no matter what is happening. Thanks to Einstein's eighth wonder of the world, compound interest, something we looked at in a previous video, this tortoise approach is then very likely to beat the approach taken by all those hares who are trying to time the market or who are focused on crypto or trading or trying to buy the next big thing, and who also tend to be very noisy on social media and only sing when they are winning. When you see this sort of stuff, it's perhaps worth remembering that classic phrase, money talks, wealth whispers. If you do this properly for long enough, you have a solid chance of ending up with far more money than most people think is possible. But it is crucial to understand that this is a life habit that takes many years and a consistent commitment. Investing every month over many years and automating your investments will save you from your own powerful inbuilt psychological biases and increase the chance that you achieve market returns or close to market returns. And another key point to make here is that this is much easier to do than constantly trying to figure out whether now is a good time to buy or sell. And it makes investing so much less stressful and complicated as a result. As I've also said before, this is how most wealthy people become wealthy statistically, particularly families who do this over many generations, which should be more or less obvious when you consider just how powerful compounding becomes over very long periods of time. So that's it for today. In our next video, we'll look at the next topic, which is very much related to this one, the crucial importance of ignoring the news and sticking to your guns. Contrary to what most people think, the more you pay attention to the news and financial market movements, the lower your returns are likely to be. We're going to look at this in more detail next time. And as ever, if you want to ensure that you're one of the first to see our next few videos when they're published, and as we go through these crucial next few steps, please do click the subscribe and bell buttons. And actually, another final thought for today, and that's to say that if you haven't already, please do feel free to connect with me on any or all of LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, or X. I post 2 of these videos a month, but I tend to post far more regularly on social media, particularly on LinkedIn. So if you'd like to get more from me and from Plain English Finance, please do connect. We also have an email list which you can subscribe to for free. You just need to put your name in a box on the landing page of our website, which is plainenglishfinance.com and or plainenglishfinance.co.uk. And this will mean that you'll hear more from us than just these 2 YouTube videos each month, of course. Very best wishes until next time, and I look forward to seeing you over on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, or wherever else.